Hi everybody and welcome back to your latest Newcastle United news right here on the Toon Review YouTube channel. My name's Paul, thank you so much for tuning in again, and as usual if you do enjoy the video today please do give it the thumbs up, and if you're new and you like what you see, why not subscribe? Free to do so. Come and be part of this fantastic community right here on the Toon Review. Some very interesting news today regarding possible transfers, signings, not particularly players. NUFC have announced a new partnership with a sports giant. More news on Bruno, and Steve Bruce wanted Elise and Eze when he was at the Toon. But we'll have a look at that a bit later on. But we'll start with the report that's come out in The Athletic this morning, which states that Newcastle United have prioritised 5 major signings in the summer. Now, again, take this as just a media report, but obviously they're not saying any players. What they're saying is positions. Now, these positions are pretty much what we as fans expected them to be. We know that where the team needs strengthened. We know where the squad needs strengthening. And Newcastle United seemingly, according to The Athletic, have decided that those are the positions that need strengthening. First of all, is a goalkeeper, which I think that's pretty obvious these days with the links that we've had with various goalkeepers around Europe at the minute. 2 centre-backs. Now, that's very interesting for me. Of course, Toon was one of those centre-backs that was supposed to come in, as is Lloyd Kelly. Now, Lloyd Kelly, Romano's reported this morning that deal is going to go ahead eventually. It's just tying up loose ends, and there won't be a similar problem to what there was with Toon. Lloyd Kelly has made his decision that he wants to come to Newcastle, so that should be all done and dusted within the next couple of weeks. But they do want another centre-back. And, of course, we have been linked with quite a few. So it just remains to be seen who we will go for in the summer. There's plenty out there. There's plenty quality centre-backs. But Newcastle United feel like they need another 2 to expand that squad depth for next season. And quite honestly, we kind of agree with that, don't we? The 2 centre-backs are needed. I know there's still Fabian Schär there. Dan Burn's still there, of course. Lascelles and Botman. But they're not going to be back till probably January, let's be honest, with injuries like they've got. So they'll be out for half the season. So we do need cover at centre-back, and they've established that 2 of them are needed. The other one is a right winger. Now, we spoke about right wingers many, many times before. Of course, everybody knows I don't think Miggy's good enough to take us forward, and I think a lot of fans would agree with that. Jacob Murphy has probably played his way into the squad next season because of the way he played last season, and I don't have a problem with that. Miggy Almiron, he's had his time, guys, as far as I'm concerned. He hasn't done it now for quite a while. And, I think pastures new for Miggy would be a pretty good thing. Even though, as I said before, many times his agent states that he wants to stay. I think Newcastle United will have very, very different thoughts on that, to be honest. And the other one is a forward. Now, it just says forward. It doesn't say striker or anything like that. It says a forward. So this could be a player that plays across the whole range of forward positions. Striker, out on the right, out on the left, etc. And I don't think that's a bad option. I do think we need an out-and-out striker as well. But whether this forward covers out-and-out striker, only time will tell. Now, money-wise, I don't know how they're going to do this. Maybe Newcastle United have a bit more money than what certainly the media think they have, or has been reported in the past. I do believe that we have a bit more money out there. I've always thought that. We don't know exactly what the income of the football club is or how much there is available to spend, but I do believe that there's money available. And whether we do this via a couple of paid signings, or a loan signing, or maybe a free transfer, time is going to tell on that as well. But it is very optimistic that Newcastle United are definitely looking for players to bring in. We know where it's needed, guys. We've spoke about this many, many times on the show, where these players are needed. And hopefully it's going to happen in the summer, because those are the positions that we seem to be after. Now, Newcastle United have also made an announcement this morning regarding a new partnership. They have partnered up with JD Sports. Now, I don't think this is a big surprise to anybody, because this is exactly what Mike Ashley was going through a court case for, to actually stop this from happening. It hasn't. He's failed. Now, they've announced it with JD Sports, of course. They will be the club's official sports retail partner moving forward, certainly linking up with Adidas, etc., and selling replica shirts shirts moving forward. Now, that doesn't mean to say that other places won't sell replica shirts. I don't think Sports Direct will at the minute. But obviously, I reckon Mike Ashley still hasn't had his final say on this. If we know Ashley as well as we do, I think, he'll try something. He'll try some backhander, some attempt at trying to get this overturned because he's been quite obviously snubbed, and rightly so. This guy treated the club like shite for 15 years, nearly threw us under the bus, and caused all sorts of problems. And the new owners quite simply want nothing to do with him. And how can we blame the new owners for that? They want nothing to do with the Pillock. And I thoroughly agree with it. I don't think we should have anything to do with Mike Ashley. In fact, the name should be washed away from all history of Newcastle United if it was up to me. But of course, that's not going to happen. Just go away, Mike. Just go away. So that's fantastic news for Newcastle United, and again, will improve the revenue of the football club. So that's great news as far as I'm concerned. Now, the old man, Steve Bruce, is back again, making comments on his managerial time at the club. And he has stated that Newcastle did originally want Eze and Elise when he was manager of the football club. Now, the major stumbling block that they had at the time, according to Steve Bruce, was that these players didn't want to leave London. Now, for me, that's a very easy excuse. I have a feeling that there's no way two exciting players like that would, even back then, want to play for a dinosaur like Steve Bruce. When he'd have saw how, these players will have seen how Newcastle United played football. They'll have spoke to the mates on what they think of his football or managerial techniques. There's no way. And of course, he goes on to say that Newcastle didn't have the pulling power that they do nowadays. Well, yes, Steve, that's quite obvious. You were manager, Mike Ashley was owner. Who the hell is going to want to come? Up and coming, exciting future stars like Eze and Elise. Why would they even contemplate coming to play for you and Mike Ashley? There's no way that was going to happen. So for me, they got away with one there, not coming at the time when they did, because they've got on to fantastic things at Palace, of course. Now, whether they move on in the future is very much up to them. But they are much better players than they would have been had they come in and developed under Steve Bruce. Because let's be honest, he had the development techniques of a dead frog, and there's no way that man would have inspired them to go to the sort of heights they are now. He wouldn't have let the shackles off. He would have trained them more on defence or how not to lose a game. Look, we know what Steve Bruce was like, and these players, they wouldn't have excelled. Absolutely no way in hell would they have excelled under that manager. So good on you, Elise and Eze, for not being bothered at the time. But Steve Bruce making excuses that they didn't want to leave London, I think is a pile of crap, because if this was the situation back then, and we had the new owners in, and we were the club we are now, it's a very, very different story. It's a very, very different story. And we may well have had those kind of players come to the club. But yeah, Steve, it's not just the fact they didn't want to leave London. It's you and your little dwarf-sized man, Mr. Ashley, the pain in the arse, the absolute twat of a man who ran the football club. So that's the real reason, matey. And finally, Ben Jacobs has reported on social media that Manchester City are now the main runners to sign Bruno in the summer. Now, if you can remember, one of the daily news shows I did last week stated that the media was saying that PSG were the only ones who were willing to pay the release clause. Now, according to Ben Jacobs this morning, that has all changed now. It is Manchester City who are in the fast lane and have said that they will, or they're contemplating, hitting the release clause. Now, again, that doesn't mean that Bruno will say, oh, yes, I'll go and join Manchester City. But look, it's worrying, because if Manchester City come on in for him, they've got the infrastructure there. They've got everything Bruno wants. The challenge for trophies. They've got a world-class manager in there. It's everything you want. But again, it's whether he wants to go and play for another Premier League team. It would break my freaking heart if I saw Bruno playing for another Premier League team. It would absolutely destroy me, and I know it would destroy a lot of you Newcastle fans out there. It really would. And, I just want the 30th of June to pass, and then the release clause is gone. But it really is squeaky arse time. But it's weird, isn't it? Because it changes from week to week. Who's interested in hitting the release clause? Who's not interested in the release clause? Manchester City apparently last week weren't interested at all in releasing in hitting that release clause. But now, apparently, contact has already been made with Bruno's representatives. So it's worrying times for us Newcastle fans. But again, even if it is hit, it's up to Bruno if he wants to go. So that is the main thing. Let me know. Do you think he would go if Manchester City hit the release clause? I think it'd be 50-50 myself, but we'll see what happens with that. But there you go, guys. That is the daily news for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. As usual, if you have enjoyed the show, please do give it the thumbs up. And if you're new and like what you see, plenty Newcastle United news on here, as well as live shows, match day lives. We're covering the Euros, of course, as well. Lots to come on the channel, so please do subscribe. Don't forget, though, to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload like this or scheduling of our live shows. We do have a live show tonight. If you're watching this on Tuesday afternoon, we have the transfer show live at 7 o'clock. We'll take a look at some more of the players to be linked in the media and see what they could bring to the Newcastle United squad should one of them ever sign for us. In the meantime, have a wonderful Tuesday, guys. Take care.